inside. You're about to be arrested for disturbing the peace.
Here, tyrant. Let's get him. Look at him. Look at this guy. Look at him.
Hey!
What are you doing?
Hey, what are you doing? Oh, you're interfering!
In a disturbing display of abuse of power, dishonest law enforcement officers recently targeted and detained a respected community leader, a pastor. Imagine detaining a pastor for doing nothing other than helping his daughter to get out of trouble. How can that be justified? This heinous violation of civil freedoms and trust in the court system has caused outcry and resulted in legal action against individuals involved. The case serves as a harsh reminder of the risks of unrestrained authority and the significance of keeping those in positions of power responsible for their decisions. What would society do if what was actually meant to save them started to get them behind their back? Let's delve into the details of this disturbing incident and the pursuit of justice in the face of corruption. On August 25, 2019, several officers from the Worcester Police Department in Massachusetts were summoned to Cornerstone Bible Baptist Church to speak with Rachel Rusudi, the daughter of the church's Reverend Joseph Rusudi Sr., who allegedly failed to return her 11-year-old child following a custody visit. According to Rusudi, when Rachel asked the cops if they had any documents or whether she was being detained, Officer Nunes responded in the negative. Thus, she sought to escape. Additional officers were later arrived, including Officer Capabianca.
Who are you? Who are you? Why don't you go inside? You have nothing about it. Go
Oh,
inside.
that's my daughter. So
Okay.
yeah, I do have a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
You know,
you don't
this
have
is- this has nothing to do with you.
Tyrant, don't come tell me. Rachel.
You done yelling? You done yelling?
Are you done yelling? Acting like a big shot?
We're all set here. You can go inside.
No, you go on.
You're not going to tell me what to do. You can go inside. You're about to be arrested for disturbing the peace.
Here, tyrant. Let's get him. Look at him. Look at this guy. Look at him.
Hey!
What are you doing?
Hey, what are you doing? Oh, you're interfering!
You just witnessed an officer tasing a pastor. Like what? After Reverend Rusudi names the officers tyrants, an officer threatens to charge him with disrupting the peace. When Reverend Rusudi does not comply with his order to go back inside, the officer chases him into the church, tosses him to the ground, and tases him. Is it even possible to tase a pastor for calling an officer a tyrant? There is no such law as of now. Actually, the Massachusetts so-called Disturbing the Peace statute, which is found in Section 53 of Chapter 272 of the Massachusetts General Laws, simply states that, quote, disorderly persons and disturbers of the peace shall for a first offense be punished by a fine of not more than $150. According to the Massachusetts jury instructions, a conviction requires an individual to engage in conduct that most people would consider unreasonably disruptive, such as making loud and disturbing noise, tumultuous or offensive behavior, hurling objects in a populated area, or threatening, quarreling, fighting, or challenging others to a fight. The forbidden conduct also includes the, quote, speaking personal insults that equate to fighting terms that are so vile that they are intrinsically likely to cause an immediate, violent reaction. By the 1987 Supreme Court case of City of Houston versus Hill, established that the First Amendment protects a significant amount of verbal criticism and challenge directed at police officers. Unless it is now, quoting, likely to produce a clear and present danger of a serious substantive evil that rises far above public inconvenience, annoyance, or unrest in reaching. In the 1974 case of Lewis versus City of New Orleans, even the so-called fighting words exception to the First Amendment might require a narrower application in cases involving a police officer because now quoting a properly trained officer may reasonably be expected to exercise a higher degree of restraint than the average citizen, and thus be less likely to respond belligerently to fighting words. So what do you think of the situation compared with these cases? Can that tase be justified?
You guys need to get back up. Get out of our space and back up.
Just record it. I am.
Oh, you tased me. Get the state cops here. Oh, you just punched someone. I'm gonna sit.
Sit down.
Are you on?
I'm okay. Stop, Papa. We need an
We're in the church. It's up to you. What's wrong with you people?
These guys are tyrants.
Stay on the ground now.
Let go of me. What's wrong with you?
He's a tyrant.
I'm resisting you.
For him, you idiot. You're on the ground.
Stay on the ground.
Get on the
You're
ground.
psycho.
Stop moving.
You're hurting me.
Listen, buddy.
Let go of me. I'm gonna sue the out of you, so you know.
This guy's been hitting me, kicking me.
Yeah, I'm gonna sue the crap out of him. You're hurting me, man. I just asked you to get off my wrist, man.
You
Get this guy's name right here, Capa Bianca. Yeah. Everybody, get this stuff. All because they're trying to bully one of our church members and steal their child.
We'll just sue him, that's all.
I don't know what I did to get
You didn't do
tased.
nothing. They said you punched
Yeah,
me
he
in the
came
face.
at me because he didn't
This
like
Spanish
it.
cop right here punched
Huh?
me right in the face.
I know that. Don't be punching us.
You
You
shut
know what?
your mouth.
You need to back away
No,
from
sir,
us.
gateway
We're
to
not
the liquor
animals.
store.
What am I arrested for?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, what did I get arrested for?
Get the supervisor here now.
I can't even believe what these guys just did in this church house.
Yeah.
We need to get him up and then him. Which one do you want to get up first? They can get both. We have enough guys now.
Are you kidding me?
How? We've got enough guys now.
Make sure my wife gets checked out because she's pregnant and this cop tackled her.
Joseph Rusudi Jr., the son of Reverend Rusudi and a pastor at the church, asks one of the officers to get his wife, Carissa. Rusudi checked out because she's pregnant, and an officer tackles her. A lawsuit the Rusudis filed after this encounter claims that an EMT who responded to the church location refused to provide medical care to Carissa, allegedly telling her that he was there to treat officers and that he would not examine her because she hid an officer. How can they even do that to a pregnant woman? In the 2001 case of Kosha versus Town of Pembroke, so-called deliberate indifference may also consist of, now quoting, showing a conscious failure to provide medical services where they would be reasonably appropriate. Similarly, in the 2016 case of Miranda Rivera versus Davila, quote, government officials violate the Eighth Amendment if they display deliberate indifference to a prisoner's serious medical needs, one that has been diagnosed by a physician as mandating treatment, or one that is so obvious that even a layperson would easily recognize the necessity for a doctor's attention. But here, the officers were informed multiple times that she was pregnant and that she was only at the 3-month mark, which would arguably be an obvious risk to a layperson and likely constitute a situation where medical services would be reasonably appropriate.
This guy tased me, the other guy kicked me. He's 55 years old, beaten up by the Worcester police. This guy right
You
here.
have an ID on you?
No, I don't. You got one on you?
I drive stun. He got drive stun in the back. Does he
have to go or no?
No. Just want to check him out. You know,
I'll wait
he's
for him
8
to
miles.
cool off for a minute.
Yeah.
My name's Joe, Reverend Joe Rizzuti. I don't consent you to go in my pocket. You don't care what I say.
You're under arrest. We're going to search
You
you.
get away from me.
Okay?
You get away from me.
No,
This
you're
guy
under
has
arrest.
assaulted.
All right?
I'm your arrest.
Yeah.
Oh, am I? You get away from me. You've already assaulted me. Assaulted me, tased me. Laying in the back of my church, this guy. Imagine that. All because he was asked a simple question. Tased me, you knocked me to the ground, and this guy's pulling my pants down.
Now this lawsuit is going to get heated. Reverend Rusudi opposes the cops' use of force against him. The officers chased Reverend Rusudi through the church before throwing him to the ground and tasing him. The complaint filed by the Rusudis also alleges that the officer struck Reverend and Pastor Rusudi with closed fists and that Carissa Rusudi was thrown to the floor where the officer stepped on her stomach and back. Seriously? Stepping on a pregnant woman? In the 1989 case of Graham versus Connor, quotes that an officer may use that level of non-deadly force that is objectively reasonable to effect an arrest, protect the officer or another from physical harm, restrain or subdue a resistant subject, bring an unlawful situation safely and effectively under control. However, the Rusudis were not creating an illegal situation because Officer Nunez had already informed Rachel Rusudi that she did not have any papers and was not being arrested. As a result, a court could determine that the officer's use of force was both illegal and constitutionally excessive.
No one
They're gonna
checked
check
me
him
out.
They're waiting for him to calm down.
They're
waiting for him to calm down.
I like my money clip and my money back.
We'll take care of that.
Look at these guys. You guys getting this on video? Taking all my stuff out of my pockets, my money, my money clip, everything.
Your whole behavior, all on video. All your behavior.
That's how that works.
Don't worry about it. Okay? So shut your mouth.
Oh, really? Shut my mouth.
Did they prevent you from getting the kid?
I wasn't here for, like I said, there was a lot we were trying to get to there, and he kept interfering, and he wouldn't calm down. He kept causing a scene, then he ran out.
Where did you get, where did you get tased?
I have no idea. He got tased right in the middle back here.
Can I just look at it? Is that all right?
Relax, I gotta check you out. Right here. All right, we're good. All right, you're all set to go to the wagon. Let's go. That's for this guy here. Okay. Let me find. I don't know what the other got going on, but thank you.
They did all this in front of him.
I'm good here. They just need a card for the other guy. All right, guys, we're good.
Mom,
Thank you.
they're gonna tell you, honey, if you're going to the police station, you gotta bail us out. You got Joey's credit card. I'm getting arrested you.
Reverend Joseph Rusudi Jr. was charged with assault and battery on a police officer. Resisting arrest, disorderly conduct, disturbing the peace, assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, and interfering with a police investigation, while Pastor Joseph Rusudi Sr. was charged with both interference and resisting arrest. Both men's accusations were dismissed prior to trial, and a judge acquitted them of all remaining allegations following a bench trial. Carissa Rusudi was charged with interfering with a police investigation, which was also dropped, while Rachel Rusudi was accused with other felonies, including kidnapping. It was later dismissed, and the other accusations against her were decriminalized on August 23, 2022. The Rusudis later filed a federal complaint against Officers Nunez and Capabianca, as well as numerous other police and Worcester government officials, alleging arbitrary force, assault and battery, malicious prosecution, intentional infliction of mental distress, and other federal allegations. The complaint contends that, in addition to the physical injuries experienced during the altercation, Pastor Rusudi's son and other family members were traumatized by this event. The complaint also includes allegations of a pattern of misconduct by the Worcester Police Department. The complaint remains unresolved. On November 15, 2022, the FBI stated that it would open a civil investigation against the Worcester Police Department to investigate if the department engages in a pattern or practice of excessive force or engages in discriminatory policing based on race or gender. Overall, the Worcester cops receive a F for completely failing to de-escalate a problematic situation by employing excessive and unneeded force on the Rusudis and evidently pursuing inflated criminal allegations against the family and Reverend Rusudi. What we are going to see next is even more shocking. On April 18, 2021, Titus Hartford stood in front of Calvary Chapel in Chattanooga, Tennessee, holding up a sign that stated, "The Apostle Paul taught the opposite of what Jesus taught." As the people drove by and entered the church parking lot to attend Sunday service, Mr. Hartford stood on a public sidewalk next to the entrance to the parking lot. He greeted a parking lot attendant and explained his purpose for being there.
How are you?
Doing well.
What is the purpose of that?
I'm trying to lead people to Jesus by correcting some of the oppositions to his teachings. I can't really get kicked off of public property, so I reckon I'll just stay here in the safe zone. Well, I'm in the middle of, this is not the time to do it. But later. Tonight, this evening.
Now is the only time convenient for me.
Well then, I guess.
The truth.
Hey, buddy.
Hey. What's going on? How are you? Good. Hey, man. How are you today?
I'm doing well.
What's your name? I'm Darren.
I'm choosing not to reveal that at this time.
That's okay. I was just want to introduce myself. What can I help you with today, man?
Just help me get my message out.
You know, it's great that you have your theological and doctrinal belief, but do you really think this is the best place to try to get that message out? Why?
Yeah. Because this is a church that's popular.
Which teaches the Word of God, where He changes people's lives. So why would you?
Maybe there's people who want to go forward in their relationship with Jesus.
Yeah, man. You know, and I know you're smart enough to where I see that you're standing on on public property. It's the sidewalk. But man, can we not just agree today, maybe not to have this happen while I have our congregation? I'm a shepherd, right? So
a hireling.
No, I'm called by God, brother. We don't do hirelings here.
The reason you don't teach the teachings of Jesus is because you flee when you see all the wolves coming in here.
I don't flee from anything, but I'm standing here in front of a person that I feel might be a wolf. So I'm going to ask you very kindly, just for the consideration of God Almighty and the congregation that comes here, church. Could we just put this thing away today?
No.
And then go and maybe have lunch?
I'm invoking my constitutional right.
When Mr. Delaney requests Mr. Hartford to take down the sign and go, he refuses, claiming that he is exercising his constitutional rights. As the Supreme Court explained in the 1983 case of Perry Education Association versus Perry Local Educators Association, quotes, that in places which by long tradition or by government have been devoted to assembly and debate, the rights of the state to limit expressive activity are sharply circumscribed. While the government generally cannot regulate speech in public forums, there are instances where restrictions on free expression may be justified, particularly in traditional public spaces like sidewalks. Although laws targeting speech content are typically unconstitutional, they can be upheld if they serve a compelling state interest and are narrowly tailored to achieve that goal. Mr. Hartford was exercising his First Amendment rights by standing on a public sidewalk and displaying a sign expressing his religious beliefs, even if his message was directed towards a church with differing beliefs. It would be challenging for the government to justify prohibiting Mr. Hartford's expression based on the content of his beliefs. Moreover, since he deliberately chose the time and location to communicate his message to the Calvary Chapel congregation, any restrictions on the time, place, or manner of his speech would likely fail, unless ample alternative channels for communication were provided. Even if the government could identify a significant interest in regulating his speech, any restrictions would need to ensure sufficient avenues for Mr. Hartford to reach his audience.
Yeah, I know, but there's also a thing to where there's a legal thing that says that you become, legally, if you become a public nuisance, and we feel that it is, I can call Chattanooga.
Well, then call the police. There it is.
And then say that you
If I'm breaking the law, arrest me.
You're making a scene right now, aren't you, Sergeant? Am I correct in my understanding, sir, of the law? If he and I are having a problem with people and we're causing a upright and a scene in front of people, is that?
Would you mind if I talk to him?
Yeah, you're welcome to talk to him, but you ain't gonna get nowhere.
No, I mean, I'm ready to have a Bible study.
Well, then come on inside and talk to me. Just get your Bible. Let's go open it up.
I don't want to play into your hand because I know what happens when I go in there. Then I become
Have you ever been in here before? Yes, you have, haven't you?
Yeah, I have.
I know exactly who you are, bro. You don't think I remember who you are? Why can't we just go inside and have a civil conversation, you and I, that we were not out here making a fool of ourselves?
Well, when I get done doing what I'm doing, I'll call you or email you. Just leave me your contact information and we'll go from there.
No, this is not working well for me.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. You should have put your house on more solid ground.
Listen, man, can you do me a favor? Could you just not let me listen to that, please? I'm asking you as a man to man. That's all I'm asking you for. There's no reason to
No. Preach from the rooftops.
Well, number one, you're on the street corner, okay? It's wrong.
Well,
and your message is going to fall in deaf ears here, okay?
It might, but it also might fall on some good ground and bring forth fruit.
So listen, man. Nobody here is paying any attention to your side, okay?
I think I'm making a big demonstration. Did you see that?
Todd, number one, you don't have my permission to film me, so don't film me anymore.
I can film you all I want.
I said no, sir. Okay?
Hey,
No.
don't touch my stuff.
Get off my property.
I'm not on your property.
Get off my property, dude.
I'm not on your property.
Listen, man, leave. Hey, Sarge, can you call a district car? I think we have a public problem here right now with me and him. Thank you, sir. Thank you,
You
sir.
should get a better job, man. Just walk away.
Mr. Delaney contends that Mr. Hartford's presence on the sidewalk with his sign constitutes a public nuisance. While some states recognize public nuisance as a criminal offense, Tennessee does not categorize it as such. Under Tennessee law, nuisance cases typically involve a property owner using their land in a manner that disturbs another property owner's free use or renders it uncomfortable. Although Tennessee law does acknowledge that criminal gangs engaging in certain activities may constitute a nuisance, this provision does not apply to an individual peacefully holding a sign on a public sidewalk. In this scenario, a court would likely determine that Mr. Hartford's actions did not amount to disorderly conduct. He remained calm, refrained from obstructing the sidewalk, making excessive noise, using offensive gestures or language, or inciting violence. Furthermore, he was not in proximity to any fire hazards or other emergencies.
Okay.
You shouldn't touch people's belongings that don't belong to you.
Listen, man. Hey, man, just leave it.
Leave me your contact information.
Bro,
We'll
you know
study
my
the Bible.
Contact information. We've had this conversation before, bro.
Okay, well, contact me. We'll study the Bible. Hey, how you doing? Name and badge number, please.
You got an ID on you?
Name and badge number.
Elliot, 1099. Where's your ID, bro?
That's irrelevant. Have I committed a crime?
Yeah, you're trespassing. You're refusing to leave, man.
I'm on public property. This is the sidewalk.
Church property. Let me see your ID.
This is a sidewalk.
Let me see your ID. I need your ID or you're gonna go to jail.
This is a sidewalk. I don't know what you're talking about.
Dude, I need your ID.
Okay. Maybe that was.
Give me your ID or you're gonna go to jail.
I'm not gonna give you my ID. I have no reason to.
Put your arm behind your back.
I'm on the sidewalk, so I don't see why I'm being arrested.
Well, you're refusing to give me your ID. You have to identify yourself in my office.
This is not a stop and ID state.
What's your name?
I'm not telling
Why are
you
you
that.
so upset at this church, man?
I'm not upset at it. What are you doing? I'm trying to make a theological point that I wasn't allowed to make on that property.
Officer James Elliott, a member of the Calvary Chapel, asserts that Mr. Hartford is trespassing on church property and proceeds to arrest him when he refuses to provide identification. According to Section 39, Titcher 14405 of the Tennessee Code, criminal trespass occurs when a person enters or remains on property without the owner's consent. However, it is evident from the footage that Mr. Hartford was on a public sidewalk during the encounter, not on church property. Therefore, a court would likely conclude that Mr. Hartford was not trespassing at the time Officer Elliott approached him, as disapproval from the adjacent property owner does not justify a conviction under the trespassing statute. Mr. Hartford did not use force against Officer Elliott or anyone else, nor did his actions obstruct Officer Elliott's duties. Consequently, a court would probably determine that Officer Elliott lacked legal grounds to arrest Mr. Hartford for trespassing or for refusing to identify himself upon demand. After arresting Mr. Hartford, Officer Elliott confiscated his camera and sign, and Mr. Hartford was detained, causing him to miss 2 days of work. While Mr. Hartford was eventually charged with criminal trespass, the charge was dismissed almost a year later. On February 7, 2022, Mr. Hartford filed a federal lawsuit against Officer Elliott for deprivation of civil rights, alleging between Officer Elliott's police report and the actual events. As of the current date, Mr. Hartford's lawsuit is still pending. Overall, Officer Elliott's actions are highly questionable and merit criticism for misusing his authority as a police officer.